We are back with Meg Parker-Young, who's Vice President of ESG Strategy at Fannie Mae. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Meg, will you tell us a little bit about what you do at Fannie Mae?
Sure thing. So, as Vice President of ESG Strategy, I help our organization think about the issues that really intersect inside of home and housing finance within the United States. So, at Fannie Mae, that means everything from climate risk and resilience all the way to racial equity and stability, and the ways in which those intersect in the way that we work in the marketplace and the outcomes we're trying to drive.
What are you prioritizing among those really important ESG issues in housing finance right now?
So, the role that we play in the marketplace is really specific. We are operating at a huge scale, and we're doing so under a charter from the U.S. government to be in all markets at all times. We need to make sure that as we do this, we're providing liquidity, affordability, and stability. And so that means that we have a lot of priorities to balance at once. I would say in this present moment, the spaces that we're watching most closely are those spaces of climate risk. So thinking about as we look at the homes that underlie those mortgages, the flood and fire risk for those over time, thinking about climate resilience for communities, and the intersecting social issues of the history of racial inequity, frankly, in finance and in housing finance, and the ways in which we have opportunities to think more productively about opportunities to create a more equitable finance system on the whole.
I want to drill down a little bit more on that topic you just mentioned of scale. So Fannie Mae, it's one of the 4 major mortgage providers in the U.S. You have such a huge portfolio. How do you ensure that the work that you're doing is matching the scale or like the power that you have?
Absolutely. And I'm going to do a little bit of basics around it, which is that we do not provide mortgages, but we are behind 1 in 4 mortgages. And so part of that means that we're supporting all of those banks that are putting those mortgages out there. And behind the scenes, being behind 1 in 4, it means that when we're making a decision about where we want to focus our energy, there's huge ramifications for that. And so one of the things that we did the last couple of years that really brought that home was by creating a consumer housing journey that helped us think about these issues across the lifespan from a consumer's perspective. So again, we're operating this massive scale, but thinking really as an individual from before the time that you are looking at a house or thinking about renting or buying to being within a house and then looking to maintain that over time. What are the obstacles you might face along the way? And specifically, how do we unpack those to make sure that we understand the role we might play in removing them over time? And are they different, for instance, by geography, by race or ethnicity? And so that approach has allowed us to think broadly about problems, but then to find individual ones that we can really impact at scale. And so I think a lot of the work in our equitable housing finance plan and our racial equity work in particular has helped us to demonstrate that.
It's really exciting work, and I would say that the average person on the street does not know that Fannie Mae is doing this. To that end, I understand that you've released in the last year your first sustainability report or ESG report. Tell me how you refer to it. What was that like? What prompted it? And what did you learn?
Absolutely. So I love that at Fannie Mae, this is building on a big legacy of transparency, frankly. For better or for worse, through the years, we have been publishing a whole lot of data as it relates to housing and equitable access to housing, green bond impacts. Fannie Mae is one of the biggest issuers of green bonds in the world. So we've had green bond impact reports. And I came into my role about 3 years ago, and what I saw was just a huge wide variety of amazing information. This allowed us to create a really consolidated space that's meeting the market in a way that it needs to be met in terms of providing that simple, direct access to the information that investors, raters, other stakeholders really need to find in one spot so that they can have an informed understanding of all the work that's dynamically been going on for years at Fannie Mae and be able to leverage that in their understanding and partnership moving forward.
So what topics are you watching closely for the next couple of years?
I think the thing that I'm watching the most closely is our capacity to work across topics. And so I think especially, at the start, we talked about climate, we talked about race, we're talking about housing stability. Once you get in a home, can you stay there? I would say that the intersection of those 3, to me, is one of the most important spaces for housing moving forward. And our capacity to be able to have experts in all of these who have the ability to really collaborate together, work together to find those systemic understandings and solutions that also provide market value. Because at the end of the day, this is about producing, the most efficient market we can that can support as many people as want to be able to be inside of homes, whether they're renting or owning. So that intersection point is what I'm most excited about. out.
Once again, we are here with Meg Parker-Young, who is the Vice President of ESG Strategy at Fannie Mae. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.